For the past couple of years, Huawei's been making some inroads and certainly making some waves in the premium smartphone arena. With the likes of the Mate 9, they've certainly done the job. But can they make a premium laptop and make the same kind of impact? Let's find out. My name is Andrew, and this is the AMDtech review of the Huawei MateBook X. Right off the bat, here's what you get with the MateBook X. You get either a Core i5 or Core i7 Kaby Lake processor. It has an all-metal premium design in gold, rose gold, and what you see here, space gray. It sports a 13-inch 2K display, and it has some really great sound thanks to its Dolby Atmos speakers. And it starts at a price tag of $1099 for the Core i5 model. For $300 more, you can get the Core i7 and more storage. It comes standard with 8GB of DDR3 memory. There's no option for 16GB of RAM, and my model has 256GB of SSD storage. And it is fanless. Packaging is very premium as it has a very MacBook-like appearance. It seems to me that they put a lot of effort, a lot of care into the unboxing experience, and it shows. Opening the box, you're greeted by the MateBook X itself and along with some accessories. The power adapter is USB Type-C, which is always good to see. And since this only has two USB Type-C ports, it's nice that they include an adapter in the box, which gives you some more port options. The Mate Dock 2, which is now included in the box, gives you an additional USB Type-C, VGA, and HDMI to connect to a TV or a monitor. And on the other side, you have a full-size USB Type-A. It's pretty nice that they do include that in the box. And finally, you get some documentation in the box with some warranty information as well. Holding the MateBook X for the first time, you're struck by just how thin and light this device is. At 2.3 pounds, it's extremely portable and it's extremely thin. Really nice job in terms of engineering. It also feels really good in the hands. It has a nice solid build with very little flex in its design. And I'm sure many of you are here to see this. It's 13-inch IPS non-touch display. It has a resolution of 2160 by 1440. That's 200 pixels per inch, and it sports a 3:2 aspect ratio. The screen gets bright at 376 nits, and it has good color accuracy at 136% sRGB. The blacks are very deep, the colors really pop and are vibrant, and this is one very sharp display. Really great job Huawei in that department. And it's covered in Gorilla Glass 3 to make it scratch resistant. I really like the fact that it has very thin bezels at 4.4 millimeters. As far as ports are concerned, here's what you get. On the right side of the device, you get a USB Type-C. You cannot charge from this port, but you can do display out and you can do it for data transfer. Now, unfortunately, both USB Type-C are not Thunderbolt 3 supported, which is a bit disappointing. It would have been really awesome to have Thunderbolt 3 support on this device. And on the left side of the device, you'll also get your 3.5mm headset jack and your other USB Type-C. Now this is the one where you'll charge your device, and unfortunately, like the other USB Type-C port, it's not Thunderbolt 3. The power button doubles as a fingerprint sensor, and it was very easy to set up, and it's worked flawlessly. It really registered my finger pretty much every time I used it. Opening up the device, logging in with Windows Hello was a pleasure. Once you go with the Windows Hello login, you sort of get spoiled. It's hard to go without it. Now there was very little flex on the keyboard, and at 1mm of key travel was a bit on the shallow side. Although I did like the Island style, chiclet style keys, I did like typing on it for extended periods of time, and it also had a nice tactile feedback. And it has multi-stage backlighting, although I wish it was just a little bit brighter, but I do appreciate the fact that it does have the backlighting to begin with. I was really happy to see that the touchpad is a precision touchpad, which you know I'm a big fan of. Two-finger scrolling was a pleasure. Windows 10 gestures worked as advertised. The MateBook X has a 1-megapixel front-facing webcam. So this is the webcam on the Huawei MateBook X. It's certainly better than the Dell XPS 13's placement. This is on top of the screen where it should be. And I'm actually thinking this is pretty good considering this is a thin and light laptop. It's certainly better than the MacBook 2017 that I just reviewed, which only had a 480p webcam. This has a 720p, I think it's 1 megapixel, and it works pretty well. Now this is what it sounds like when you're on a Skype conversation and you're typing. I think it's pretty good. So this has been the webcam on the Huawei MateBook X. Now, as far as the speakers are concerned, they're Dolby Atmos branded and they sound really good. Let's hear them in action. The MateBook X has a 40 watt-hour battery, and since it's such a thin and light device, I was kind of worried. I thought I was going to get about 8 to 9 hours, hopefully all-day battery life. That's my minimum requirement in 2017. In the couple of days since I've had the device, I've been averaging around 7.5 hours in what I call normal use. That's YouTube, Netflix, some light gaming, some light Photoshop, and some web browsing under the Edge browser. And that's at 40% screen brightness. Anything more intensive, that's going to drop to around 5 to 6 hours, depending on the task at hand. So please keep that in mind. And because I've only had the device for a couple of days, I wanted to check some other sources to see what kind of battery life they were getting. According to Laptop Mag, they got 8 hours and 41 minutes, which was certainly better than the category average of 8 hours and 17 minutes, but it fell short of the Dell XPS 13, but it did better than the Asus ZenBook 3, but not quite as good as the 12-inch Apple MacBook 2016 edition. It runs Windows 10 Home and it has 8 GB of DDR3 memory. On the Geekbench 4 test, it did a 6825 on the multi-core score. And its built-in graphics did 18,956 on the OpenCL test of the Geekbench 4 test. That's pretty good. It has a light-on 256 GB SSD drive, of which about 210 GB are available to the user. And here's how it did on the Crystal Disk Mark test. It did a 1279 on the read, pretty good, and 603.2 on the write, also a decent score, although I wish it was just a little bit higher. And it did a 28,234 on the Octane 2.0 test. It sports Bluetooth 4.1 and it has dual band wireless AC 8275. Reception was very good range, all good on that front. And it did a 954 on the 3D Mark Firestrike test that Laptop Mag did. Let me know if you want me to do any further testing on this in a separate video. I will do it if I get enough demand. And as I stated earlier, there's no fan even though this has a Core i5 Kaby Lake processor. But it did manage to remain cool as it uses a phase detection chamber system to keep it running at a comfortable temperature. Here's how it did on those thermals. So, at the end of the day, can I recommend the Huawei MateBook X, Huawei's first foray into the laptop arena? And the answer is absolutely. This is a great first try. Here's what I like. I like its beautiful 13-inch IPS non-touch display, although I wish it was a touch display, but certainly not a deal breaker in my book. It has extremely thin bezels, very sharp and vibrant. It also has some of the best sounding speakers I've ever heard on such a thin and light device, rivaling that even of the 12-inch MacBook. Its build is excellent, it's premium, and it has an all-metal design with very little flex. Excellent job in terms of engineering that design. I liked its performance with its Kaby Lake processor. Even the Core i5 with its built-in graphics did pretty well. And I really liked the keyboard. Even though it has only 1mm of key travel, it still had a nice tactile feel, and the precision touchpad worked as advertised. Good job on both fronts. And I love the fingerprint sensor. I like its location, the fact that it doubles as the power button, and I also like the fact that it registered my finger every time I used it without any issues. Worked wonderfully with Windows Hello logging in. And despite the fact that it doesn't have a fan, it still remained pretty cool. Pretty good job in terms of thermals, considering the fact that it doesn't have any fan. But as with any device, there are going to be things that need improvement, and here's my take on where I think Huawei can improve on the next iteration. First, I wasn't crazy about its mediocre battery life. Now, the battery life is not terrible, and to me, not a deal breaker, as I can manage to get about 7 to 7.5 hours, of course, depending on the use. And I wasn't crazy about the write scores on the SSD. The reads was pretty good of over 1200, but the writes at about 600 were mediocre at best. But with those few negatives aside, I have to say this checks all the boxes that you'd want in a thin and light premium laptop. It's got the display, it's got the build quality, it's got the performance, and it's got those excellent Dolby Atmos speakers for the sound. Coming together, making this the AMDtech editor's choice for the thin and light 13-inch laptop category. And making this worth your money. So what do you think about the Huawei MateBook X? Do you think it checks all the boxes that you'd want in the thin and light laptop category? I really like it. I'm really impressed that Huawei's first outing in terms of the laptop category has been so good. I like its build quality, really first rate, very MacBook-like, high quality materials used, really nice looks. I also like the fact that it has that beautiful 13-inch IPS non-touch display, although I think I might have preferred a touch display. I can forgive it. It's still very nice, great vibrant screen, love the thin bezels, love the 3:2 aspect ratio. What we're seeing more and more of these devices getting that 3:2 aspect ratio. The speakers are outstanding. The Dolby Atmos branded speakers are really fantastic, great for media consumption, watching movies, listening to music, watching YouTube videos, really a nice experience, great for Netflix. I also like the fact that it has a nice keyboard. Now, only 1mm of key travel, doesn't matter. It's still very good, still better in a lot of ways than the new MacBook 2017 edition that I just reviewed. This has 1mm of key travel, very good tactile feedback, really liking the keyboard. Love the precision trackpad, also very good. I like that over, say, the Synaptics trackpads that we've been seeing as of late. So really checking all the boxes, really good first time out for Huawei in terms of very good getting it all right. Now, mediocre battery life may be one of the negatives we can take away from this. I got about 7 to 7.5 hours depending on usage. Can push it a little bit more, turn the brightness down a little bit, do more power saving management. Laptop mag, as you saw, got 8 hours and 20 minutes or so. That's their test. I think it's somewhere in between, and I think it falls short in that category. Certainly not a deal breaker. I will accept 7 to 8 hours anytime. Really, it's not that big of a deal. As far as charging, it charges pretty fast. As far as how long it charges, I still have to do a few more testings. I think it's going to take about 2.5 to 3 hours to fully charge this device, but I'll have to report back my findings on that. But I'm curious to know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below. What do you think about the Huawei MateBook X? I really like it. I saw a lot of the pre-production units, the reviews that were out on YouTube, and I really got interested. I'm glad I have a production unit. This is the one that they're shipping. The only other negative I can see is the write scores on the SSD. The reads were okay, over 1,000, I think about 1,200 or so. Writes about 600 or so. I like to see that up a little bit, especially when I see it in devices like the HP Spectre X2 that got over 3,000 on the read and well over 1,000 on the write. Something I think that Huawei can improve in the next iteration. But overall performance is very snappy, very good. And I also like the fact that it doesn't have a fan and it stays pretty cool thanks to its unique cooling system. But again, I'm curious to know what you think. Leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know what you think of the Huawei MateBook X and what you think of it getting my Editor's Choice Award. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and of course our website, AMDtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMDtech. See ya.